So, another thing that I have noticed, and one of the things that has come across from some of the professors at the college, is that um, one of the things that students really struggle with is adding detail to their writing. So, there are a couple of reasons why you would want to have detailed writing. Number one, and probably most relevant to all of you, is that the more detailed your writing is, the easier it becomes to achieve the page or word count length that you need. So typically, when I see students, they're 200 words short, or they're half a page short, or something along those lines, with an essay they're writing, even if it's 500, 600, 800, 1,000 words, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, whatever it might be. And time again, when I look at it, there are either two things missing. One of which is citations of any kind. There aren't a lot of direct quotes or paraphrasing or anything like that. But more specific to what we're looking at, is their writing isn't very detailed. I This is especially useful when it comes to discussion board posts as well. I have quite a few students that take the art appreciation class, or they'll take something along the lines of a history course, or they may take a class on creative writing or something like that. And the writing itself is okay, it's just a little bland. And so, oftentimes, if you're making C's and B's on your discussion board posts, you may not be following the directions exactly the way that the professor wants, but you also might just not be detailed enough in your writing. One student of mine had to do weekly discussion board posts on different artistic movements in Europe. And what we found through working together is that they weren't naming some of the authors, or excuse me, the artists or the monumental works of art during the different periods. And so once that started to happen, their grades went up. They became much more confident to, now, a month or so later, there's almost nothing when they come in to see me. It's already almost perfect. So when we take a look at these two sentences, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about, because you have to ask yourself, which one of these do I find more informative? So the first version of this sentence is, a long time ago, American novelists started to gain more respect. Okay, so if you're looking at that, you may have some of the same questions that I would have, that your fellow classmates might have, that your professor would definitely have, which is, well, how long is a long time ago? America's only existed for so long, so how long is a long time ago? Was it last month? Was it 300 years ago almost? When did this start happening? Then we have the term American novelists. So that's a great opportunity to give a couple of examples of those novelists that would have done that, or artists, or psychologists, or historians, whomever. It doesn't really matter. And lastly, why did they start gaining more respect, and from whom? So, what was it that started the respect level rising among American writing, and who were Americans looking to for respect? So, as a sentence, it's not bad. Grammatically, it's correct, but it's not very detailed, and it's a little bland. So, what I did was go back through and make it more specific by adding more details. So, What I changed that to was almost 200 years ago, writers in the United States, such as Mark Twain and Henry David Thoreau, changed the perception of American novels in Europe due to their creativity and style. So, how long? About 200 years ago. American novelists, who were they? Mark Twain and Henry David Thoreau, to name a couple. Why did they start to gain more respect? Their creativity and their style. And where did they start to gain more respect? Well, in Europe, where most of the Americans would have come from, and who had a much, much, much longer creative and especially writing culture than we did. So just by answering a few questions that you yourself created in that first sentence, you get something that's 3 times as long, has 4 times the amount of information in it, and answers a lot of questions that people would bring up in the first version of that. So remember, in writing, detail matters a lot, and you can do this with almost anything. Now, the great thing about this is sometimes you can be a little over descriptive, and that's okay, but it's much easier when you're drafting to take things out as opposed to going back and turning things in. Or and insert things into it. So it's always better to have stuff to take away than it is to have to go back and add a bunch of stuff. So just remember that. All right, I'll see you in the next video.